Alright guys, so I'm really excited to start off my new series with you guys, and after much consideration, which you might have seen in my Insta story, I have decided a name on the series that really describes what I'm trying to encompass with this series and the message I'm trying to get across and what I'm trying to learn with myself personally. And so the series name is going to be called Courage to Be You. So that to me is really something that resonated with me when I read it, and I was thinking of it, and I was like, had all these different names, and I was like, yeah, that's the one. Courage to Be You, I feel like it's just such a strong meaning, because it's really having the courage to be the real person you are, to be vulnerable, to show yourself, to be okay with who you are, all the parts of you that you might have not been okay with before. It's learning to love those parts, and it's just something that I really like, and I thought was a good message, and something I'm trying to achieve with myself, and I want to, as I grow and achieve it with myself, want to share it and help you guys achieve it as well. So for me, I want this series to be kind of just about showing and explaining the struggles I have, which so many people can relate to, because so many people also have these struggles. And the number one thing I want to go over and talk about and explain is obviously depression and anxiety, as those are something I've been dealing with since I was 18, clinically diagnosed at 18, but I'd say I've probably been dealing with it even longer, probably since I was 15. So almost 10 years of dealing with that, and it's definitely a part of me. Many times I've tried to ignore it or push it aside or pretend it's not, but as I know it's not going to go away. I've had it for that long. I've been on medication for 7 years for it, and it's just something I'm going to have to live with, and that's fine. I'm learning to live with it, but I'm also learning to want to be aware of it and be okay and open about it. For the longest time I was so closed up about it, and I don't want to be like that anymore, because being open about it and talking about my struggles is really what's going to help other people, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And that's what I've learned. I used to be so embarrassed and so ashamed of having to rely on medication, and it doesn't need to be like that, because it's something I can't control. As much as I want to, I can't. And if you guys have been in the same spot or deal with this, you also know it's something you can't control. And for you to be ashamed of something you can't control, it's not right. So for me, this is about learning to accept that you have this part of you, but also learning to figure out ways to live with it and make it easier for you and to overcome it. Not overcome it to the point that it's going to go away, because I don't think it'll ever go away for me, but overcome it to the point that I'm able to live a happy and fulfilled life while dealing with it. And I also want to talk about anxiety, because a lot of the times when you have depression, you also have anxiety. They kind of go hand in hand. And I've had anxiety so bad to the point of full-on anxiety attacks, panic attacks. And obviously a lot of people are like, they wouldn't know that about me, because for the longest time I didn't share that with people, because it's something that I was, again, embarrassed and ashamed about. And that was it's not right. You don't need to be embarrassed about something you can control. And I've gotten to the point where if I feel an anxiety attack coming on, I can stop it and deal with it. But it used to be to the point where I would go into a full-blown anxiety attack, to the point that I thought I was going to die. And if you've ever had that, it's not fun. So this to me is just, I want to be able to help people, and I think that's really what I'm trying to do, along with helping myself. And through helping myself and growing as a person, I'm helping others. And I want people to be okay with having problems and having struggles, and not pushing them away and pretending they don't. We live in a world where everyone tries to put on this front of having these perfect lives and this being rich and always being happy, and the reality is that no, that's not how it is. So many of us struggle with these problems, but we put on this front that we don't, and that's not reality. That's not anything real about it, because so many the people that you would least expect struggle, and you would never know, because on their social media or in their life, they have this picture perfect life, and then you look at your life and you're like, wow, like some days I can't even get out of bed. Some days, just going and getting yourself outside is an accomplishment. And you see these people and they're doing this and this and that. It's a lie, because a lot of the times people don't show what they really are. And I can say the same thing with me. If you see my Instagram, like even just until recently, you wouldn't know I had depression or anxiety or have had body image issues growing up. Like, you would never know because I never showed that part of me. That was something I held in close, and it was like my locked part of myself that I was never going to show to anyone because I was embarrassed. I thought there was something wrong with me because why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel so freaking sad when I have so much going for me? And I don't know how to explain. If you've never had depression, it's very hard to explain it. And sometimes I will write things or I will say things when I'm depressed, and when I look back at it when I'm in a good place, because it's kind of like this, it's hard to even think that I ever felt that way. And then when I'm in that depressed state, it's hard to ever think that I was happy because you're just so miserable and numb and drained. And I think a lot of times when we start feeling like this, we're really hard on ourselves because like when you're depressed, you really don't want to do anything. Like when I get depressed, I literally just want to curl up in a ball and stay in bed all day long. And doing things like just getting out of bed, that's something you need to be proud of because that's an accomplishment. When you're feeling like that, that is an accomplishment. And that's the problem, is we're constantly comparing ourselves to these people on social media and stuff that are doing so much with their lives, and we don't realize that, first of all, they might not be dealing with the same kind of struggles you are, and second of all, why are you comparing your life to theirs? All you need to focus on is your life and being the best person you can be and overcoming your obstacles and your struggles. And if you're starting out with just getting into bed and getting your day going, that's an accomplishment. That's something to be proud of. And same thing with anxiety. If you are someone who suffers from full-blown anxiety attacks and you get to a point where you're able to feel it come on, control it, that's something to be proud of, not ashamed, not embarrassed, not something to feel sorry about yourself or be angry at yourself because you aren't doing what all these people are doing. And I think that's the biggest thing. And the same thing with body image. I mean, you need to celebrate the little victories. That's what life is. It's a process, and it's about celebrating every little step you climb, because every little step you climb, you've gotten a little bit better, a little bit higher, a little bit, you've grown a little bit more, and that's something to be proud of. And I think that's what we don't do. We don't celebrate those victories. We take a step up and we're like, holy fuck, I still have like 20 million steps to go. I'm a failure. And that's like the kind of thinking you don't want to think, because that's not what it is. And I mean, I just feel like we as people, like we're so embarrassed about having these imperfections and having these struggles that we pretend they don't exist, and then we just post a picture of this and that with a, like, you might feel like absolute garbage and you're having a day where you're literally lying in bed and like you don't want to move because you're not feeling like good. You're not feeling good. And then you post a picture having a great day with some positive quote. Like, that's not reflective of who you are. And to be honest, the message you're sending to others is not right. And that's the same with people who are really struggling with, I don't know, body image issues, and they're constantly promoting this and that, and like, that's not, I don't know, like, that's what I did a post, and it was basically like, when I was competing and when you get shredded and you look crazy, ripped, whatnot, you get lots of comments and people are commenting on how good you look and this and that. And yeah, it feels good for people to be like, you look good, you look sick, and I'm sure you motivate people through hard work. But when I post things of who I am now and the growth I've overcome, and just like real photos of where I'm at and being okay with where I'm at, and like, obviously I'm still in good shape, that's not what I'm saying, but it's like I get messages from people saying that I'm helping them and I'm changing their lives, and like, for me, that is huge. Like, I actually, like, yeah, it's like it feels really good. And like, I remember I was sitting and I was reading some comments, and I was just thinking, like, I mean, if I can just help people, like, that to me means everything. Like, I have this platform that I can do that with, and like, it's cool for people to comment and say you look good, and to get that kind of fulfillment quickly, that's quick satisfaction of people like approving you. But that's just quick satisfaction, and that doesn't really translate into anything. But for someone to tell you that you have changed their life, or you have helped them overcome this, or you have done this, like, that is, like, to me, is huge, because you've made an impact on someone. You haven't just shown someone that you look good and maybe made their standards on themselves worse, because if you're constantly looking at a shredded physique and then look at themselves, they're probably not going to feel great about themselves. So instead of setting this unrealistic standard for people, I'm setting this more normal, like realistic, attainable, healthy look that I'm having an impact on people, and to me it feels good. I'm getting a little emotional. But yes, that is what I want to do. So this is what this series is about. It's not about trying, I mean, at first I was like doing this whole cut thing, which is fine. I'm still trying to like lean out a little just because I want to test out some of these BPI products. But for me, my mental health is so much more important, and I just want to shed the light on it, and I want to be able to help people, and that's what this series is about. So my first episode is going to be, I kind of go and talk about some of this stuff again, so you guys can just fast forward it. But I'm talking about just some tips I have that I shared on my social media, but just some tips I have for overcoming body image issues and depression and anxiety, just quick tips. And then as I progress, I'm going to go over more stuff, and that is what I'm hoping to do with the series. And I just hope people can follow along and gain something from this. And I'll still be posting my workouts because I'm still working out all the time, and I know a lot of people love that shit too. But yeah, I'm really excited for this, and I feel really good, and I feel really happy about it, and I feel like I've like finally found a place where I'm like this, like everything kind of just clicked, and this is what I want to do. And I spent most of this year like very confused because I had so many, I was changing and I didn't know how to handle the change, because change is fucking scary, man. Like I think since October I had been, since October I had been kind of second guessing competing. And for me, that was really scary because it's something I've done for the last 3 years. And then I fell into a pretty deep depression in October, which I find usually happens just with the seasons changing. The difference really affects me. And I was able to get better, and then I still just kept struggling because I felt like I was progressing in a way that wasn't compatible with competing at the time, because the image I was trying to promote and the person I was trying to be, just it kind of went against competing. And that's not to say I will never compete again. I just think for what my life is right now, it just doesn't, it's not compatible, and it's really kind of a contradiction of what I'm trying to be and what I'm trying to promote. And yeah, so I spent most of this year pretty confused, and I'm like the kind of person that I'm always in my head, and like when I have something that I'm thinking about, it's like I freaking obsess over it, and I fixated on this thought. It's like it just plays over and over and over in my head. And I mean, I contemplated, you know, downsizing to bikini or doing this and that, and then I just felt I was getting pulled in 2 different directions, because I felt so much like I had expectations and people were counting on me to compete, and I had sponsors and this and that. And then a part of me was like, the part that I wanted to follow, the true part of me was telling me what I needed to do and what I needed to know. And it was just, it was hard to accept that you've changed, to be okay with it. And I think that's part of us as humans. We don't like change. Change is something different. We like being the same. We like being in our comfortable spot, and the moment you change and you go somewhere else, you're vulnerable. You have to do things differently, and you're not the same person, and it's scary. And I know for me, that's what I spent most of the year dealing with, and I think overcoming all those struggles I had with the past few months is what has made me have a different outlook on life, a different mindset, and wanting to promote something differently, and wanting to do this series. So that's basically why I'm doing this series, and I hope you guys can gain something from it. And I know I just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but I really hope that something that I say, even just one line, that can resonate with you and can have an impact on you, and like that to me is really all I care about. So I hope you guys enjoy, and yeah, stay tuned for lots of content. Bye.